Backbeats. What's the big deal? Well, if your session isn't mathematically recorded to the grid, all of your time values, such as eighth notes, quarter notes, and half notes, will be read incorrectly in all of your time-based processors, such as delays and reverbs. Additionally, you may shortchange a requested project by delivering half the amount of measures and potentially lose a gig or, in this case, get points taken off on assignment. So, let's focus on the snare drum and make sure that we deliver backbeat compositions. In 4/4 time, the snare should fall on beats 2 and 4. If you discover that your snare is falling on beat 3, you will have to start over your recording or possibly MIDI convert all your regions to double speed. Now, this can be done as long as you haven't gotten too far into your project. Always get your drums on the grid correctly first before recording any audio. I will give you a demonstration in a moment of how you can convert your MIDI regions to double speed and deliver a backbeat without having to start over your recording from. Let's first look at a session that is not in backbeat count. Let's focus on the snare drum, and I'm going to turn up the volume on the snare so that we can more clearly hear what beats the snare falls on. Well, let me take off the metronome. This is the beat without the metronome. There's nothing wrong with the beat. The only problem is the way that the beat is sitting on the grid. So now let me turn on the metronome, and I want you to count to 4 along with this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that the snare is falling on beats 3. All right, and the same thing happens with section B. Even though section B has some new kick drums and different hi-hat, the snare is still falling on beat 3. Okay, so we don't want that. We want that snare to fall on 2 and 4. And if you were to go ahead and change this to where you had, if you were to go ahead and let me just create another real quick here. Make a new MIDI region. And let's just say that I went in there and I put it on 2 and 4. I don't think you're going to like the results because it won't match up to the other drums in the groove that it has been established. Let's see, that's 1. So we'll move that to beat 2 and beat 4. And just for sake of time, I'm going to loop this real quick. Okay, so technically that's a backbeat, and you would get your points. But that's not the beat you created, and so that's not the way to fix this problem, because now the relationship between the kick and the snare and the hi-hat isn't the same as what you originally wrote. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a MIDI convert procedure, and before I convert them, I have to set up the tempo grid to change here. Now this is not the way you'll turn it in. We don't want you to turn in a project with a tempo change. I'm just showing you a kind of a shortcut, kind of cheating way to get your previously recorded beat into the right format. And then of course later you'll delete the other part, and you'll just submit the measures that are done correctly and not the incorrect part. So the tempo of 128 has been divided in half to 64, and you can see the drop in tempo right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that same exact beat, and we're going to copy paste it using the option click drag. Let go of the mouse first. Okay. And you'll hear that it won't be right immediately. Let's see if we got snap. Yeah, we got snap. Okay. Oh yeah, that's so totally what you don't want. So now what we need to do is use this convert feature in Logic to where you go ahead and you right click, you find the MIDI, and then you go to MIDI transform, and then you find double speed. Click on double speed. It should say double speed on the top left. It already has the division of 2 there, and all you need to do is click operate. Oh wow, we can see it already. We can see the notes squeeze up together. Okay, so it looks like it worked on all but 2 of the MIDI regions. Did not work on, you can still see notes because all of the notes got squished up twice as fast. So the snare did not, and usually the only reason that does not work is it's not quantized. So I'm going to go ahead and select all and click on Q, quantize it, and just do that one region only and see if I can get it to work. MIDI transform, double speed, operate. Let's see if it worked. Oh, it worked, great. All right, so section A is almost done. We would go ahead and move this up, because what would have been 4 bars at a real slow speed is now, I'm sorry, what would have been 8 bars at a real slow speed is now 4 bars. And we'll have to loop that to get it to fill up the full 8 measures. Okay, there we go. So you drag on the bottom to stretch it in, and then you drag on the top to loop it. I guess that's okay. Oh, see, that loop wouldn't have been right. I have to make sure I get it right on the right spot there. And okay, so now we have a backbeat. All right, so let's see what we have, at least for the section A part. We didn't finish section B yet. So section A with the metronome on sounds like this. I'm going to go ahead and count so you can hear that the snare is on 2 and 4 now. You can visually see the snare is happening twice as fast as it was in the older sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, it may not sound so good with this metronome, but if I turn off the metronome and I compare it to the section up here, it's exactly the same. Here we go. Let's compare it. Okay, I'm going to play this one. See? It's the exact same thing. And what we want you to turn in would be the second one. So how you do that then is you get rid of this, and you get rid of this tempo, and you move all these guys over right there, and you finish up this other section. Now this one never got shrinked, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And the reason why is it wasn't quantized. So let me go ahead and quantize it. Select all, Q. Okay. Now we can use MIDI transform. MIDI transform, double speed. It says double speed. It's all set up. All you do is say operate only, poof. And there you got your hi-hats fixed. Remember, you got to use the bottom stretch for just bringing in the region, and then the top stretch for looping. And we're back to a corrected drum beat. And if I put on the metronome, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I was counting in 128 when I said 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's just because my brain did that. But we are in the correct backbeat now, because if I listen to the metronome, the beat goes this speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, snare, snare. Okay, enough said. I hope this was helpful. Let me know of any questions. I hope this was helpful.